You know what? Xena said. You know what? Donald Trump. Apparently, you just like to be a asshole. You always like to be inconsiderate and unkind. You always find some way to keep yourself irrelevant. And at first, we all thought that, okay, you had some good ideas of how things should be improved and how things should be run from a business standpoint, but not really from a statement standpoint. And first, there were the riots, and you had no control over that. You were innocent of that, of course. And then there was the trying to block illegal immigrants from getting into the United States, especially the ones who were terrorists. But then something went wrong, because after that, you basically just started going all over the place. And apparently now transsexuals, people who are one gender but then, somehow get operation to become another gender, apparently they can't serve in the military. Apparently they can't serve in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, or even the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is a part of the Department of Homeland Security. It is technically considered one of the branches of the part of defense, even of the military, even though they're all parts of the Department of Defense. And apparently, I don't get it, Xena says. I don't get it. A transsexual is someone who goes from one gender to another, but they're still a human. So I don't understand this. I really don't. You need to explain, but then the problem is, when you do explain yourself, I don't know if that's going to make any more sense than it already has. So apparently it's now illegal for transgender people who want to serve in the military, who want to serve and protect their nation state. Apparently they're, I guess, still allowed to serve in the National Guard, as far as the states are concerned, unless the National Guard is federalized. Okay. So I really do not understand this. It's like every time you have the homosexuals, regardless if they be male or female, the bisexuals, regardless if they be male or female, for some reason they never seem to get a break. At least it seems that way. I mean, just as soon as everything becomes equal, there's always going to be problems. First, same-sex wedlock was a big issue, and finally the United States made it legal. But some of the 50 states refused to follow that federal law, and the federal government has to reinforce the law that they made, because the states claim that some of the 50 states don't want to carry out the law, and that's illegal. So, whatever. And apparently now it's illegal for transgenders to serve in the military. I don't see why that would be a problem. If these people want to serve their nation state like any other person, regardless of their race or nationality or religion or gender or even sexual orientation, it should be allowed. Why is this going to be an issue? Xena says. Seriously. And I was one of your supporters up until now. Yeah, I was. And now I got egg on my face because now I look foolish. But, hey, I only supported you in certain aspects, not every aspect. Yeah, against anti-terrorism, I supported you in that. Protecting the nation state from both domestic and foreign terrorists, I supported you in that. Yeah, I thought those were good ideas. But apparently, I am not going to support you in this whole anti-transgender military serving law to either one. I have an idea it was probably an executive order, because if you try to get Congress to make it, they would probably tell you no. They probably wouldn't even they probably wouldn't even pass the bill into law. And if you tried to, well, the idea is, oh, you probably tried to make it an executive order. That's probably what it was. But Congress and the Supreme Court probably have to review that executive order. And I'm probably sure it is it's unconstitutional to ban someone from working in the federal government, especially if they're transgendered, if they want to, serve in the military or whatever the case might be. It just makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. So kindly explain to me why this would upset people. I mean, you already have people you got people who are anti-homosexual, anti-bisexual, and that's pretty sad. But now you got people who are anti-transsexual, I guess. Made me so mad I'll flip my own table over. And I did. I risked my ass to go with Angel and Gabrielle to rescue you from Wolfman and Hart because Aries wanted you not to be able to run for office. Now I think, okay, yeah, rescuing you is a good thing, but supporting you in some of these ideas are not. Okay? Apparently, Congress is still on the hearing process of getting evidence that crimes and sins were committed by the president, and if they have enough evidence, then it goes to the Supreme Court for an impeachment trial. God knows how long that's going to take and how much money will be spent on, a jury, and what Supreme Judge is going to oversee it, and what lawyer is going to try to do the prosecution and defense. Well, I imagine it's probably going to be the I don't know. But whatever. A lot of people say there are certain earls or presidents that they didn't really like for various reasons. They all made, bad choices, mistakes, whatever. Some were guilty of running their mouth and saying offensive stuff. Others sometimes made some unpopular decisions. But you apparently you found a way to even make the people who voted and elected for you start to question if it was a good choice or not. So I don't know, XENA says. I don't know. I could have run for president of the United States. Hell. Slam. But no, I take that back. I couldn't. Because one, I have no degrees in political science or political wheelwash and statesmanship, basically. I have basically, since I was foreign born, it disqualifies me from it anyway. But I guarantee you, if I would have made better choices than you. Okay? I don't know. Apparently, some of you people, you think you're some type, I don't know, when you can't handle criticism. Yeah. Well, that's kind of sad, especially for somebody who basically talks about how equal for everyone and everything, but then he runs his mouth that he can't handle being criticized. So I guess it was okay to criticize everybody else for their actions, regardless if they be sinful or criminal or just plain stupid. But no one's allowed to criticize you. Apparently, you're uncriticizable. People are criticizing you for this anti-transgender, not allowed to serve in the armed forces move. My stupid cookie sheet smash. So I'm just going to tell you this. Do not be surprised from 4 years from now, when it's time to rerun again, that people may or may not decide to re-elect you again. Or don't be surprised if the impeachment hearing, they find evidence to go to impeachment trial. And don't be surprised if you end up being on that list. Okay? Now I know what you're going to probably think. You probably think to yourself, people are just overreacting. Overreacting, smash, really. You're probably thinking, oh, well, I have to try to keep faith with the anti-transgenders, the anti-homosexual, bisexual people. You don't have to keep faith with those idiots, okay? Those idiots rant and rave about every single thing. So keeping faith with people, that is stupid. And so apparently, you apparently want to try to please the anti-transgender people out there. The people who are against people who want to change, well, they can't, they can't, physically change their gender, they can't physically change their gender. They can try. I mean, there are operations where people try to come very close to changing one's gender. But that's a different story for a different day, because I'm not an expert in the whole transgender surgery and thing. But apparently you want to try to stay face with those people. Well, those idiots are the wrong people to stay face with, okay? Those idiots are the backwards people. So because of a bunch of anti-transgender idiots, the president decides he has to make a executive order that makes it where they can't serve in the military. Oh, why is that? Because they're gendered confused? Is that why? I don't even think that should play a role. As long as they're smash, as long as they want to serve their nation state and protect and defend freedoms and rights and all that stuff, as long as they're doing everything that a good warrior does, they shouldn't be a problem. If they pass their physicals and they want to have that full-time commitment, then they should be allowed to. That should not play a freaking role. Okay? And guess what? A lot of people are criticizing you on this move, XENA says. So, unless you want to somehow get bumped on the list of the unpopular president or Earl, I think you made a list. Because a lot of people had a long list of people they didn't quite like, okay? They didn't like Richard Nixon because he lied about the Watergate scandal and lied about the Vietnam War coming to an end. Some people didn't like Gerald Ford because he had Richard Nixon resign instead of being impeached and arrested for his crimes in office. Others didn't like James Carter because apparently, I don't know, they just didn't like him for some reason. And other people didn't like Ronald Reagan for various reasons. And some people didn't like George Albert Walker Bush because of whatever reasons. A lot of people had hatred, didn't like William Jefferson Clinton because they felt that he was either a sex addict or he was either abusing his power in that. And people didn't like George Walker Bush. I don't know. They didn't like him for various reasons, felt that he was the one that allegedly ruined the economy. Then people didn't like Barack Hussein Obama because he had gotten a federal healthcare law that was passed, but it had a bunch of F-ups in it. And now apparently people don't like you. Now, I'm not going to say your whole Earlship or your presidentship was bad. There were some good moments when you tried to try to stop terrorists from, coming into the United States and doing harm. There were a lot of good when you stood up against other rogue heads of state and heads of government. I mean, when you did a good job when you tried to get a new federal health care law made. But for some reason, you just had to make a law or executive order to make it illegal for transgenders to want to serve in the military. I don't understand it. Kindly explain to me how that's wrong. Smash! Tell me how that's wrong. Why is that so wrong? Okay, that's it. I'm XENA Warrior Princess, XENA Pappas, XENA Ventripolis, and that was just my rant on the whole Donald Trump executive order, making it illegal for transgendered people to serve in the military, regardless if it was the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, or the Coast Guard, or the National Guard. I don't know about that. Okay, I'll see you all later.